You might think it's your pricing, your funnel, or your content that's keeping your business stuck. But what if it's actually an invisible contract with someone else that you made in childhood? Your energy field remembers every relationship you've ever had, and it shows up in your business. Sales resistance, overgiving, undercharging, burnout, they're not random. They're data points pointing to an unresolved energetic blueprint. And the good news, you can shift it. Stay tuned, and I'll walk you through how to identify the hidden energetic patterns blocking your next level. Welcome to Break Free from the Burnout. This is for you if you're a purpose-driven entrepreneur who's ready to make a real difference in the world. Despite doing all the right strategies and tactics, something hidden is still slowing your success. You're listening to Dr. Anastasia Chopelas, physicist turned energy healer, your guide through the quantum shifts that create real-world results so you can grow your business with more impact, income, and ease without burning out. Listen in, your next breakthrough starts now. Amanda, a highly talented business owner, came to me saying, I love what I do, but I don't seem to be making progress in growing my business. On the surface, everything looked right. She had the certifications, the passion, the offers, but her energy field was carrying something much deeper. During our session, we uncovered an unspoken energetic contract with her father, one where love had to be earned through achievement, perfection, and endless proving. Sound familiar? Alongside that was a deep, decades-old rage toward him for the way he had treated her. That rage wasn't just emotional, it was energetic, embedded into her cells, affecting her business interactions and repelling clients who might otherwise have said yes. We cleared the contract, or what I call rules of engagement, plus the emotional charge that accompanied it in one session. A week later, she says, I don't know what you did to me, but I can't even muster the rage anymore. That shift in her energy field changed everything. Without tweaking a single piece of her marketing, without launching anything new or showing up in a different way, her business began to grow. In just 1 month, she had a 30% increase in revenue effortlessly. Why? Because she stopped chasing, she stopped proving, and she started allowing. When the rage left, Amanda's vibrational frequency elevated. Her field became inviting instead of repelling. That's what happens when you clear the hidden contracts driving your behavior. You stop repelling and start receiving. Your business is a living reflection of your inner world, especially the patterns you formed in early relationships. It doesn't matter how beautifully designed your website is or how polished your offer sounds. If your energy is wired for survival instead of connection, your business will reflect that back to you. Here's the thing, most entrepreneurs don't realize they're building from unresolved trauma. Instead of clarity and flow, they operate from unconscious contracts like, I have to be perfect to be accepted. If I don't over-deliver, I'll be abandoned. If I make a mistake, I'll lose everything. Let's talk about 3 of the most common patterns I see, especially in brilliant, heart-centered people doing personal development work for themselves. There are more, and I'm sure you'll think of them as I'm speaking. The first is perfectionism. This one often originates from trying to earn love or avoid punishment growing up. In business, it shows up at constantly tweaking your website, rewriting your offer, recording your content, never feeling ready. It's not excellence, it's fear in disguise. It creates energetic static that confuses your audience and delays your growth. Good is good enough. I always say perfectionism is a form of self-abuse. Number 2, scarcity mindset. If you grew up in a household where resources or affection were inconsistent or conditional, your nervous system may be wired to believe there's not enough. In business, this shows up as underpricing your services, saying yes to misaligned clients, those clients from you know where, or overworking out of fear that the flow will dry up. And the kicker, that energy actually repels abundance. This could be a whole other broadcast on all the signs you have this embedded into your cells, but let's go on to the next one. Imposter syndrome. When love was tied to achievement, or you were never fully seen for who you are, you learn to doubt your own value. In business, this turns into a cycle of second guessing, outsourcing your authority, and believing others have the real answers or the magic. And you shrink your own magic to avoid being found out, all while wondering why things feel hard. These aren't character flaws, they're unhealed survival patterns. And once you recognize them for what they are, you can start to clear the emotional and energetic residue they leave behind. Did you see yourself in any of these? Or maybe the strong one wound I'll describe next. If you were the oldest child or the high achiever, the one who was told, you should know better, this is for you. I heard that all my life. Being the strong one in your family means you were the responsible one, the protector, the fixer. But beneath that strength, there's often a child who never felt fully seen, who had no safe place to collapse, and who learned early that love was conditional on performance. In your business, this can turn into a pattern of over-functioning, where you carry too much, give too much, and feel guilty for receiving. I know this one personally. I was the oldest child in a household where responsibilities were piled on me far too young. I was often the scapegoat, punished even when I was being wronged. My siblings were allowed to break my things, lie about me, and tease me, and if I stood up for myself, I was the one who got in trouble. I learned early that being good meant staying quiet, being productive, and taking care of everyone else's needs before my own. That wiring didn't disappear when I started a business. It showed up in how much I gave to clients, how hard I worked behind the scenes, and how little I received in return. Because part of me didn't feel worthy unless I was holding everything together. Here's the truth. The strong one persona isn't strength, it's survival. And while it may have protected you back then, it can quietly sabotage your business now. It keeps you over-delivering, it keeps you exhausted, and it blocks the very flow of abundance and support you long for. When we clear that energetic residue of that pattern, when we remind the nervous system that it's safe to rest, to receive, to ask for help, everything changes. You don't have to earn your way into love anymore. You are love. And your business, when built from that truth, begins to nourish you instead of drain you. The strong one pattern can be so deeply ingrained that you don't even realize you're carrying it. It just feels like you. But that's exactly why it's worth gently unraveling. Here are some practical ways to recognize when this pattern is driving your business, and some practical tips on how to start softening its grip. 1, you struggle to ask for help, even when you need it. You might tell yourself, it's easier if I just do it myself. Boy, have I said that enough times. But underneath that is often a fear of being let down, or worse, being judged as weak. Try this. Choose one small thing today you can delegate or ask for support on. Practice receiving without explanation or apology. Number 2, you feel responsible for your client's results. You over-deliver, check in too often, or feel anxious if someone doesn't respond right away. That's not service. It's emotional enmeshment. Try this. Remind yourself, I'm responsible for the energy I bring to the container. They're responsible for their transformation. And let that be enough. 3, rest feels unsafe. If slowing down brings guilt or anxiety, it's likely because your worth was tied to output. But your nervous system can be retrained to feel safe in stillness. Try this. Schedule 10 minutes of non-productive time and do nothing. Let the discomfort rise and breathe through it. This is where healing begins. Remember, rest is a verb. You are doing something, and that something is important. Number 4, you expect yourself to know better. You're hard on yourself for making mistakes, forgetting things, or not having all the answers. This inner critic often echoes the voices of your past. Try this. When that voice pipes up, ask yourself, would I say this to a beloved child or a client? If not, speak to yourself as that loving voice. And number 5, you resist being vulnerable in your business. You hold it all together, wear the expert mask, and rarely let people see what's real. But true resonance comes from authenticity, not perfection. Try this. Share a moment when you felt challenged, but frame it through the lens of healing and insight. Vulnerability and service of others becomes strength. To speed up the process of clearing out all of this old baggage, let's look to healing. When your energy field is cluttered with old emotional contracts, unprocessed pains, and outdated beliefs about your worth, business becomes heavy. It slows down. You might feel like you're doing everything right, but something unseen keeps blocking the flow. That something isn't a business strategy problem. It's an energetic congestion problem from your past connections. When you clear that energetic residue from past relationships, especially those where love, value, or safety were conditional, you stop leaking energy. You stop overcompensating. You stop sending out mixed signals, and you stop radiating low vibe emotions that repel others. And then something remarkable happens. You don't try to attract more income, it just starts showing up. Just like in Amanda's case, and she was one of many. New opportunities arise. People reach out, seemingly out of nowhere. Your offers suddenly feel lighter, and more people say yes. Why? Because your field has shifted from grasping to allowing, from effort to resonance. Think of it like tuning into a radio station. When your energetic dial is set to proving, hustling, or not enough, you attract people and experiences that match that frequency. But when you shift into worthiness, clarity, and receptivity, the entire broadcast changes, and the people aligned with that frequency, they can finally hear you and show up. This isn't magic. It's energetic alignment rooted in both physics and lived experience. Your field is a transmitter, and when it's clear, it becomes magnetic. So instead of launching another thing or tweaking yet another funnel, ask yourself, what old emotional energy am I still carrying that doesn't belong in my business? Because when you clear that, you don't just create space, you create channels. One of the most empowering things you can do as a business owner is pause and ask, am I building this from my authentic calling or from an old wound? It is not always obvious. Trauma doesn't always shout. Often it whispers through your choices. It shows up as logic, ambition, or just being responsible. But underneath, there's often a nervous system still trying to protect you. Here are a few signs that a business decision may be coming from a past wound and not your aligned self. You say yes out of fear, not resonance. You take on a client you know isn't a match. You lower your price even when it doesn't feel good, or add a service you don't actually want to offer because you're afraid of being rejected, abandoned, or judged. That's not strategy. That's your inner child trying to stay safe. You feel driven to prove, impress, or earn approval. If you're constantly upgrading, refining, or pushing yourself to look legitimate, ask yourself, who am I trying to prove this to? Often it's a parent, partner, or authority figure whose voice still echoes in your field, telling you you're not enough yet. You overwork to avoid stillness. Stillness can feel terrifying if your worth was once tied to productivity or perfection. So you keep launching, posting, and creating not from joy, but from pressure. This is a survival strategy, disguised as hustle, and it leads to burnout, not abundance. You avoid being seen even when you crave visibility. You might delay launching, stay vague in your messaging, or hesitate to share your real story. Why? Because at some level, being visible once meant being vulnerable or unsafe. That resistance isn't laziness, it's your nervous system trying to protect you from past pain. When you start noticing these patterns without judgment, you reclaim your power. You begin to make decisions from your present truth, not your past programming. And that's when your business becomes a channel for your authentic expression, not your trauma response. When you strip away the proving, the people-pleasing, the perfectionism, what's left is you, your essence, your unique frequency. And that is the most magnetic force in the universe, because when you embody your true self in business, you stop trying to be who you think the world wants and start becoming who you were always meant to be. Flow returns. You no longer force content, agonize over decisions, or chase clients. Ideas come through with ease. Aligned people find you. Business becomes a creative expression, not a battlefield. Your fulfillment deepens. You feel lit up by your work, not drained. You attract the kind of clients you actually want to serve, and each interaction feels like a sacred exchange, not a transaction. Abundance will expand, not just financially, though yes, the money flows more easily too, but energetically. You feel spacious, nourished, supported, because you're no longer leaking energy to outdated contracts. The truth is, your business is an extension of your energy field. When your field is clear and aligned, your business becomes a mirror of your highest expression, not your old survival strategies. This is where your gifts meet the world and the world says yes. If today's message resonated, if you started to see how your business might be echoing old relationship dynamics, just wait for the next episode. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. It's going to be on why you keep repeating the same relationship dynamics even in your business. New face, same story, different client, same outcome. If your relationships or business dynamics keep cycling through the same patterns, it's not bad luck. It's a loop in your field, and it can be cleared. In the next episode, I'll show you how to identify the exact frequency you've been transmitting and how to shift it to attract healthier, more aligned relationships in both life and business. In the meantime, download my free guide, 10 Hidden Signs You Have Unresolved Baggage, Preventing Your Business Success. It's your starting point to clear what's been invisibly blocking your growth and open the channels to more flow, fulfillment, and abundance. Go to healersu, healersu.com/hidden. Thank you for listening to Break Free from the Burnout. You'll find resources and show notes on our website at breakfreefromtheburnout.com. Until next time, I'm Dr. Anastasia Chopelas, sending you golden healing light and success vibes on your journey to becoming an entrepreneur who is aligned, confident, and prosperous. Your gifts are so needed in this world.